There is nothing quite like watching somebody discover for the first time a movie that you have loved since you were a child. That there's such cute videos online of like parents showing their kids Empire Strikes Back for the first time. And when Vader says, "I'm your father," the look on those kids' faces is amazing. Um, I got to do that with my kids a lot. And just the other night, I got to do it with my girlfriend. Uh, and it was so much fun sitting there watching her watch a movie that before this she'd never heard of, Monster Squad. Monster Squad is fucking amazing, okay? It's one of those movies that I watched when I was like it came and went in theaters, so I saw it on home video probably when I was 7 or 8, and it blew my mind. It is a movie I've watched at least once a year every year since, and worn out a VHS copy. Funnily enough, tried to. The movie wasn't on DVD for the longest time, so I did a little downloading online. I crashed my computer completely to get a copy of Monster Squad, and the DVD was announced like 2 weeks later. Uh, but Monster Squad, yeah, it's 1987. Fred Decker directed it, a guy who doesn't really get a lot of. Uh, he's known primarily for the things he did. Shane Black wrote it, of Iron Man 3 and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys and The Predator. Um, he wrote it. This is a really. And it's funny because he wrote it actually, I think it's the same year Lethal Weapon came out, and he wrote all the Lethal Weapon movies. It's a phenomenal movie, and I wondered if my girlfriend would like it because I oftentimes think, am I watching this movie with rose colored glasses? Uh, she loved it. She thought it was amazing. She had the best time watching it. Um, it is a complete Goonies ripoff. Um, right down to like the kids sort of corresponding with the kids in the Goonies. And you could call it like a B grade Goonies. And Goonies is the better movie for sure. But but I wouldn't put Monster Squad too far behind it. I think it really ranks up there as a really underrated 80s movie. Uh, so, there's kids. They love monsters. They have a monster club. And one day they figure out that the actual Dracula has returned to try to steal an amulet to summon all of the monsters together and basically let darkness reign over the world. And Dracula has his own team consisting of the creature from the Black Lagoon, the mummy, the Wolfman, and the Frankenstein monster. Frankenstein monster in this again scenario being the sloth of this movie. Uh, there's Chunk in Goonies. There's Fat Kid here. Uh, there's Mikey in Goonies. There's Sean here. There's Josh Brolin's character, the older brother in Goonies. There's Rudy in this one. Uh, so yeah, they've definitely looked at Goonies as a template, but then they put the monsters in there, and that's a completely different story. And it works. It's first of all, it's very short. It is a short movie. It's like what 80 movies, 80 minutes. It's not a long movie, but it packs so much into it that it's a fun ride just from start to finish. There isn't a dull moment where you go, that could have been cut. Why is that in there? In fact, there's some things in the movie where I felt like they could have expanded it a little bit more. Um, this is very 80s, very, very 80s. But you know what? There's a reason that movies and TV shows now go back to the 80s when it comes to telling a story of kids. Uh, whether it's It or Stranger Things, there's a lot of throwback movies and shows now that take kids back to the 80s. And the reason for that is that's sort of the last real time of like the culture being so. I mean, when you rattle off the names of the movies that came out at that time, the music that people still listen today, um, there hasn't been a decade quite like the 80s since. I mean, the 90s kind of up to a point. I think that as the 90s sort of progressed, it got more and more and more generic. And now, you watch a movie from. I watched Bad Boys last night, the Martin Lawrence, Will Smith. And and yeah, you see like every now and then a cell phone or something, but you really go, that movie looks like you could put it out now. And if you just updated like a couple of things, the style of the movie would be the same. Everything would be the same. There isn't like that really unique feel to it that an 80s movie has. Uh, Monster Squad is something that I have watched since I was 7. I've shown my kids it many times. It is absolute pure cheesy 80s joy. I could not recommend it. And I mean, and it's not just that. I mean, the movie packs in a reference to the Holocaust. And that's not like a startling like, whoa, hey, that's inappropriate to put in there. Like a really subtle nod to a Holocaust survivor and him having dealt with monsters. I still can't watch the end of the movie with what happens to Frankenstein monster without getting a little teary. It is just fun, 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 fun. That's all that I can say about it. It's not a classic, like, important movie. Even by 80s standards, it's not E.T. or something like that. But it is pure start to finish joy. Monster Squad is a 5 out of 5. Absolutely a 5 out of 5. Uh, if you've never seen this movie before, if you uh, treat yourself, find this movie, treat yourself, watch this movie, turn the lights off, get some like candy corn, watch it in October, and just sort of have fun watching these kids fight the Universal monsters. It's so fun, fun, fun. That's all I can say about it. Absolutely check it out.